So I just wanted to do some quick information on Pilates. The number one thing people say to me is, I swear to you all the time, and my friends are they're around when it happens. Yeah, I teach Pilates. Oh, so like it's like yoga. Uh-huh, okay. Interesting. And not to embarrass anybody, I'm never like, no. I'm like, I can understand why you would think that. So I wanted to do some kind of principles behind Pilates. Now, again, yoga, CrossFit, running, all of those things I think you should totally do, and I think they have their place. What I like about Pilates is the principles are ergonomic, which means it's universal. It's things that are just outrightly good for every person, and it takes an approach that's specific for you, and it teaches a lot about understanding your biomechanics. So on that note, I'm going to start with the first one. The first principle, and again, I was trained through Polestar, so let me just say, if you Google Pilates principles, your list might be a little different, but my training, I thought, did a really stellar job. And so my first principle is breathing. So we talk about rib cage breathing, as in you probably heard of yoga is belly breathing. So again, they're different, which is to be celebrated, that you can get your needs met in different ways at different places. So with the rib cage breathing, what we're doing is, instead of breathing into the chest, which gives us this kind of thing, we'll breathe into the lungs. Gosh, this blanket back here makes my sides look really wide. So when I'm breathing, I breathe into my hands and fill up my lungs. When I exhale, it pulls into that part of the core complex. It uses the core and your diaphragm, etc., to open, and then also to close directly kind of where the alveoli and the breathing sacs are. And so one of our principles is just talking about breathing. And we also would breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Your nose, you should be, even if you don't do Pilates, you should be breathing in through your nose, because you have this amazing filters and this amazing system in here to filter out the air that comes inside of you. There's books about this. I can post it in the link below, or message me if you have any questions about this. It goes in way more detail than I have for this nice little quick video. And then you should breathe out of the mouth. What I tell people is put their hands underneath their belly button, breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your mouth, and you should feel the muscles tighten all the way from deep down from the belly button. But we're focusing on the rib cage breathing, and it pulls all the way deep down to the pelvic floor area. Let's see, oh yeah, and when you breathe out, we say like you're doing a dirty phone call, for those of you before cell phones and color ID, or like Darth Vader, audible, so you can really deflate. One other fun thing to do when you're breathing, if you blow out a birthday candle, the air is cold and it's shallow and it's more jaw. Darth Vader is a lot deeper and it's hot air. It comes all the way from the bottom. So anyways, that's principle number one that I'm going to talk about. Number two is axial elongation. That sounds so fancy. So let me bring my friend into play. So axial elongation, for our purposes, is basically creating as much space from the top of the spine all the way to the bottom, right? Because we're humans and we can lean forward and we can lean backwards and we can do all sorts of twisty things. But where our spine universally is happiest is when we have as much space available as we're moving, versus being pushed or weighed down by our big brains. Okay? So that's axial elongation, and we practice that in all of our moves, and we'll try to cue that very well for you. The next principle would be spine articulation. So instead of, let's talk about this. I like having this in my spine here. Spine articulation, instead of being like, I dropped something on the floor, like this, let me pick it up. Or let me lift my hips up. Oops, if I'm in a bridge, and I'll just pop my hips up and then bring them back down. What we do is, you have all these spiny processes back here. And when we're doing spine articulation, whether we're doing rolling up from the floor or doing a bridge, is we're moving through our spine to move it, and we're setting it back down, creating axial elongation and core control. And that's another principle. We're getting there. And spine articulation. So I'm moving through as a unit instead of just like a up, down kind of thing. So I'm able to move fluidly. So the transintegrity, there's other words that'll come out, doesn't take a hit on all your nerve bundles in here. So spine articulation is very well nurtured here. So that leads me into core control. Core control would be able to use the core, which is confusing because core is like one concept, but it's kind of like saying tricep, right? There's three, tri. Core is made up of lots of different muscle groups, and we teach it as we take you through a workout. But your transverse abdominis is down. You have your rectus, which is more of the six-pack muscles that people think of abs. You have your obliques. And there's some more things that definitely play into it. We can talk core as far as being front, anterior, or the core whole thing as a cylinder. But for the specificity of our movements, we're going to talk about core control based on our core complex in the front part as far as our exercises go. As you get more versed in Pilates, and we'll talk about the whole core with your quadratus laborum and your multifidus and etc. But anyways, for now, core control. Let me talk about different parts of core control. There's strengthening, which is a shortening of a muscle. There's stability, which is holding of a muscle, and there's flexibility, the lengthening of a muscle. And it's a triad, and we try to keep the mobility, the stability, and the strength working within the same like scale, so that we want them to pull the same. If your strength is out of this world but you have no flexibility, that's where we get pain. Or if you have all the flexibility but you don't have any stability, you'll get pain. So we want those three parts to work in tandem with each other instead of as independent things. Core control, we'll work on that. The next one is organization of the head, neck, and shoulders. So there's parts of your body that bias you to save you. So one of the things people do is they'll shorten their pecs and their neck to get their core to fire, and so it doesn't work. And what we do is we work on organizing how your humerus should be by your ear, and how your oh my gosh, sternocleidomastoid, which I probably say wrong, I'm always self-conscious, how that plays into it with your traps, with your rear delts. We talk about how to organize your head, neck, and shoulders with your core complex, and even separately with your lats and your rhomboids, so that they work efficiently. Because guys, when it hurts, when it doesn't feel good, when it hurts, then you don't want to do it, and then it can cause injury. When it's tired, when it's uncomfortable muscle fatigue, that's normal. But everything else beyond that it's not supposed to hurt. It's supposed to get tired, and that can kind of burn, and that could be kind of understood as pain, but we help differentiate that, okay? So let's go, weight bearing of the extremities. So putting weight on my hands. Has anybody ever had wrist stuff, or they feel like they can't balance on their ankles or on their feet, and their ankles feel like kind of crazy? So we talk about how to organize putting our body weight on our extremities. So we usually start with new people. We go from the elbows and the knees, so you're closer to your core, where you have more strength and more support, and then we branch out from our hands to your feet. And so that's the organization of head, neck, and shoulders in a nutshell. And then the last one would be movement integration. Can I breathe? Can I do axial elongation? Can I do spine control? Can I do core control? Can I organize my extremities, and can I move through space while maintaining everything and keeping it the best version of itself? So it's not like grunt work, it is specificity, and it is super hard to take good care of yourself. So anyways, thank you so much for watching this video on Pilates Principles. I hope I gave you in a nutshell what you would want to know, and this outlines all of our movements. So if you come to the studio and you see that we have a bar Pilates Fusion or a TRX Pilates Fusion, it really highlights and capitalizes on organization of head, neck, and shoulders, spine articulation. It's the principles of Pilates, but applied on a different apparatus. Okay, so I don't want that to be confusing. It's not necessarily Pilates repertoire as much as it is the principles on a specific apparatus. So I'm just going to go over the principles one more time and say what they are in case you need to know. They are breathing, axial elongation, core control, spine articulation, organization of the head, neck, and shoulders, and movement integration. I think that's everything. So have a great day, and message me if you have any questions. Bye.